Synchronicity, an acausal connecting principle, is the title of an essay that Carl Jung avoided writing for many years. It discusses the idea of synchronicity, which refers to a perceived correspondence between subjective experiences and expectations and objective happenings without a direct causal link. For example, a person dreams about a random event and later the event actually happens. In 1952, at the age of 77, Jung finally succumbed to his keen interest in this curious phenomenon, which is reflected in the esoteric thought of all cultures around the world. Jung's idea was that physical happenings are the outward expression of a transcendental reality, of which conscious experience is the inward expression. As such, seemingly magical occurrences are the result of a pre-established synchronism between the mental and physical realms, and that there is therefore a form of causality in the world that goes beyond the known laws of physics. This was, and remains to be, a controversial idea, but it is also one with highly reasonable philosophical foundations, which stem back at least to the medieval period, with thinkers like Spinoza, Leibniz, and Nicholas Malebranche. The following is Jung's early attempt at drawing attention to synchronicity, which has been simplified and abridged for the benefit of the viewer. I hope you enjoy. Chapter 1. Exposition. Modern physics has revolutionized our understanding of the world, showing that natural laws are statistically valid only for macrophysical quantities. Causality, the foundation of natural law, is relative and requires other explanatory principles. While acausal events may exist logically, they are rarely observed due to the limitations of experimentation. Empirical science cannot prove or deny absolutely unique events, but rare events with sufficient observations might be scientifically relevant. The possibility of such events depends on rationalistic assumptions, and there are no absolute natural laws to support a prejudice against them. In this exploration, we consider the possibility of acausal events existing alongside causality. Chance events may or may not be subject to causal explanations, and a statistical evaluation is essential to distinguish between the two. Chance events may appear meaningless and fall within the bounds of probability, but some incidents challenge this notion. For example, similar occurrences happening in a short span of time raise suspicions of meaningful coincidence, an acausal connection. Currently, we assume that all coincidences are lucky hits and not synchronistic. Yet if evidence were to show that their frequency exceeds their probability, we would need for an explanation beyond causality. This concept aligns with Schopenhauer's treatise on the simultaneity of the causally unconnected, where events connect meaningfully despite lacking a direct causal chain. Life events have two distinct connections: the objective causal link in the natural process and the subjective connection perceived by individuals. Both connections coexist, and the same event fits into both chains. Schopenhauer believed in a unified transcendental will, which is the first cause, and from which all events are absolutely determined. If this will really is a unity, then simultaneous points in the causal chains could represent meaningful coincidences, whereby future outcomes are governed by fate or providence. However, Schopenhauer's absolute determinism is at odds with standard interpretations of modern physics. Schopenhauer's attempt to understand meaningful coincidences shows his philosophical vision, although he lived in a time when causality was considered the final explanation. Later, investigators explored the probability of synchronistic connections, with one group finding remarkable odds for telepathic phenomena. Wilhelm von Schultz collected stories of strange ways lost objects return to their owners, suggesting a mysterious mutual attraction of related objects. Experiments by J.B. Rhine and colleagues provided decisive evidence for synchronistic combinations of events. These experiments involved guessing patterns on numbered cards, and some results significantly exceeded chance probability, suggesting a psychic relativity of time and space. The observed lack of distance and time effects in psychic experiments suggests that these events cannot be explained by energy or causality. Interest, enthusiasm, and belief seem to positively influence the outcomes, while lack of interest leads to negative results. The book by G.N.M. Tyrrell offers a comprehensive summary of these experiments. Rhine's experiments challenge traditional explanations as they defy causal relations and energy transmission. The concept of synchronicity and the psychic relativity of space and time arises from these observations. The unconscious plays a significant role, revealing the structure of the psychoid collective unconscious. The archetypes are formal factors that organize unconscious processes, creating affects. Synchronicity, or meaningful coincidence, seems to be linked to the archetypes. Examples of synchronicity evoke impossible situations that activate the unconscious. The term synchronicity denotes meaningful parallels between psychic states and external events, and the readiness to witness miracles play a role in synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences can occur before or after critical events, and dreams may anticipate such events. For example, the British soldier J.W. Dunn wrote about many precognitive dreams throughout his life. In one, he dreamed of a volcanic eruption on an island before learning about a similar catastrophe in real life. Synchronicity defies conventional causality, leading some to posit a transcendental cause or attribute it to chance. However, when emotions alter consciousness, space and time may contract, allowing the unconscious to influence the conscious. Unconscious knowledge, including archetypal contents, can connect to objective occurrences without an identifiable causal link. Despite its incomprehensibility, we must accept the existence of innate knowledge in the unconscious, challenging traditional conceptions of causality. Synchronistic events involve a combination of factors: an unconscious image arising in consciousness, coinciding with an objective situation. This synchronistic knowledge of unknowable events is puzzling. Emotions play a role in synchronicity, and this idea has a history in the occult. For instance, Albertus Magnus wrote that intense emotions may influence the soul's ability to alter things magically, and Goethe considered synchronistic events as resulting from electric and magnetic powers within us. Of course, to understand synchronicity, we need empirical material, which is challenging to find due to prejudices and skepticism. However, ESP experiments have provided a statistical basis and highlighted the role of the psychic factor. Intuitive methods, like the Ching, aim to grasp the whole situation without imposing conditions or restricting natural processes. It allows for a total reaction from nature, providing meaningful coincidences and insights into psychic states. In this technique, psychic and physical expressions are seen as equivalent. The I Ching uses combinations of yin and yang to represent inner and outer states, fostering a synchronistic connective principle. A similar method in Western occultism offers similar results, but with more complexity. Both methods demonstrate meaningful coincidences beyond rational explanation. Astrology also appears to offer a picture of an individual's character through the correlation of astronomical data with personal traits. However, it lacks a statistical basis and reliable criteria for determining character. For our purpose of understanding synchronistic connections, we should focus on indisputable facts. The most suitable method for investigating meaningful coincidences is the numerical method, as numbers possess a numinous aura and a mysterious nature. Number is an archetype of order and has a profound connection to synchronicity. The psychic images produced by the unconscious have mathematical structures, and these patterns create order in the psyche. Numbers are often considered mere concepts of quantities invented by humans. However, it is possible that numbers were discovered and possess relative autonomy, similarly to archetypes. Like archetypes, numbers may have a pre-existent, unconscious, and conditioning quality. Combinations of numbers could relate to respective archetypes, potentially showing a tendency to behave in a special way when combined with astrology's archetypal combinations. Chapter 2. An Astrological Experiment. In this chapter, Jung provides an account of an experiment in which randomly collected horoscopes of married couples were analysed to test the possible synchronicity in partner choice. However, while the results suggest potential predispositions, Jung affirms that they still fall within the realm of chance and do not provide evidence for the validity of astrology. We therefore omit a detailed description of this experiment and proceed to Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Forerunners of the idea of synchronicity. The synchronicity principle suggests a connection between simultaneous events that goes beyond traditional causality. While the concept of meaning is anthropomorphic, it serves as a crucial criterion for synchronicity. The Chinese philosophy of the Tao embodies a similar notion of meaning which pervades their worldview. Tao is described as formless yet complete, covering all things like a garment, and it is referred to as nothing because it organizes the world of senses without being directly perceived. Tao represents a borderline conception that unites the opposites of the world. This idea aligns with the concept of synchronicity, offering an alternative perspective to the rationalistic thinking of the West. Chinese philosophy views reality as conceptually knowable due to a latent rationality present in all things. Meaningful coincidences occur because both sides of duality possess this same meaning, thus leading to order. The Tao embodies this concept, representing an eternal and formless force that organizes the world of senses. The Taoist view emphasizes thinking in terms of the whole, connecting seemingly unrelated details through correspondences. This idea is also found in Western natural philosophy, such as in Philo's emphasis on the connection between heaven and man, reflecting the harmony of the universe. The great principle of unity makes man a microcosm of the macrocosm, and ancient philosophers attributed the bond between the suprasensuous and the sensuous to God. Pico della Mirandola, for instance, saw the world as a visible God, harmoniously arranged by a superordinate control, leaving little room for causality. Man, as a microcosm, was considered a centre of events in a world where events held meaningful relationships beyond causality. This perspective dominated until modern science emphasized man's subordination to nature. The idea of a microcosm, where the inner and outer man form a whole, was shared by Agrippa, Paracelsus, and Hippocrates. They believed that all things are present in all beings, and this unity is seen as a divine power diffused in everything. Agrippa suggests that living organisms possess an inborn knowledge, and teleological processes suggest the existence of some kind of foreknowledge, perhaps rooted in the collective unconscious. Johannes Kepler supposed a geometrical principle connecting the physical world with the heavens. He also explored the astrological correspondences and attributed this synchronicity to the anima telluris, or the Earth's soul. Gottfried Wilhelm von Leibniz proposed the idea of a pre-established harmony, an absolute synchronism of psychic and physical events. This idea is now referred to as Psychophysical Parallelism. He believed that all things are interconnected and in harmony, but without direct influence. Leibniz saw man as a microcosm, a mirror of the universe, and perceived the world as a reflection of divine patterns. The medieval view of nature, which embraced both causality and correspondence, vanished with the rise of the physical sciences, that is, until the Society for Psychical Research reignited interest in telepathic phenomena. The medieval attitude underlies magical and mantric practices that have long shaped human life. The primitive mind perceives synchronicity as magical causality, where everything is influenced by magical forces rather than chance. Plato's philosophy includes the assumption of an external source of meaning, where transcendental images are the models of empirical things. Despite attempts to discard this notion, astrology and the synchronicity principle persist. Modern psychology and parapsychology have revealed that certain events cannot be fully explained by causality, pointing to synchronicity as a principle of explanation. Dreams often contain images of self-subsistent meaning, suggesting a hidden layer of form and truth beyond pure physicality. Chapter 4. Conclusion. Synchronicity may provide a better understanding of the coordination between psyche and body in living organisms. It suggests a meaningful orderedness without the need for causal relations. Observations during comas and syncopes indicate the existence of psychic processes in unconscious states. Wounded individuals experience sensations of levitation and euphoria, with consciousness still intact, despite restricted sensory communication. In one case, a patient experienced an extraordinary perception from above, seeing events in the room while unconscious. She observed the doctor's distress and her relatives' reactions. Despite her physical condition, she felt drawn to a beautiful landscape and knew she would return to her body. After awakening, she recounted the events in detail, surprising the nurse with her accuracy. This raises questions about how such vivid psychic experiences can occur during a state of collapse. In states of fainting, consciousness and perception can persist, suggesting a shift in the localization of consciousness. This challenges the belief that conscious processes are solely tied to the cerebrum. A nervous substrate like the sympathetic system may also produce thoughts and perceptions. This leads us to consider whether dreams, potentially conscious experiences during sleep, are produced by the unsleeping sympathetic system rather than the sleeping cortex, implying the transcerebral nature of dreams. Synchronicity is not easily demonstrable, but suggests an intellectually necessary principle beyond space, time, and causality. It seems to be connected to psychic conditions and the unconscious. The idea of synchronicity does not fit neatly into materialism or metaphysics, pointing to a need for a new conceptual language. By adding synchronicity as a fourth principle, we consider the existence of a neutral aspect of nature that is neither physical nor psychic. I refer to this as the psychoid. This concept is challenging and parallels the idea of adding time as the fourth dimension. The discovery of radioactivity has revolutionized classical physics. We can revise the schema by replacing space and time with energy and the space-time continuum. Synchronicity and causality are the other pair of opposites. Synchronicity seems to involve archetypes and acausal orderedness, defying simple causal explanations. We need to expand the concept of synchronicity to encompass constant and reproducible phenomena. Synchronicity may be a specific instance of general acausal orderedness, involving the parallelism of psychic and physical processes. The psychoid plays a role in this orderedness and acts as an a priori psychic ordering principle. The discovery of discontinuity in modern physics also challenges the sovereign rule of causality. Synchronicity is no more mysterious than the discontinuities in physics. As space and time lose their absolute meaning, causality loses its power, necessitating the introduction of a new category alongside space, time, and causality. This new category must encompass synchronistic phenomena. And that brings us to the end of Jung's illuminative essay on the phenomenon of synchronicity. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel with notifications on to be notified of more summaries from Jung's analytical psychology. You can also feed the algorithm by liking and commenting, or support me directly via the links in the description. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.